Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, depending on what time zone you're in or what time you're watching this video. We're back. I know it's been a while, but we're back. Happy to be here. It's been a little bit chaotic and hectic, but we're thriving. We're doing well. I hope everyone is okay. I hope everyone is loved. Hope everyone's happy. We're back with some Ren this time. Money Game Part 2. If you haven't checked out an F's new song called Hope, check that out because it dropped last week, and that was amazing. So do yourself a favor and check out the song. I did a breakdown of that too if you want to check that out. But the song, if you missed that, go check it out. But without further ado, let's get back into Money Game Part 2 because after Part 1, I'm pretty excited about this one. Ooh, I love that. The sound of that. Oh, something that. Oh, wow, good freeze. Something that was done right there is we're putting the images of the Money Game video on top of images of destruction and madness that has come from the Money Game, which is so clever because it's basically saying, hey, remember that thing we talked about where money is the cause of all problems? Well, here are some examples. Let's just put those on the screen for you to take a look at. And that's what we're seeing there. That was so cool. And look, at the end now, the eyes, which we were talking about last time, is almost like being aware now of the Money Game happening. It's like this person is viewing these events now through the eyes of someone who has witnessed and has kind of now understands that the Money Game is a real thing and it's happening. Damn, fire.
Strange time of living in panic and hysteria. Poor man learn, the rich man don't care for your narcissist mindset spread like malaria. Sit back and watch the show. America.
One of the things that was said there is we're living in panic and hysteria. This video I think was released 2 years ago. I was checking that out before. And ultimately, like, this goes back to kind of like the times of COVID, the times of mass panic and all that. So this is kind of what we're talking about here. But we're also going to poor men learn that rich men don't care for you, because a lot of people that get to that level of richness, of wealth, they don't have much care for the people below them, because in order to get to that point, you usually have to step over some people to get there. Not saying everybody, but if we're blanket terming this, that's usually what happens, right? And then ultimately that means there's an indifference to the people below them. And so rich men, they don't care about what the poor men and what's going on for the poor men, because as long as you have money, what's the difference? And then narcissist mindset spread like malaria, like the disease, which is like airborne, or not airborne, but through blood, through mosquitoes, but it spreads really rampantly like wildfire. And the idea that we're selling like the American dream, quote unquote, which why we just said America, but the American dream is become successful, own a lot of things, buy a lot of stuff, and do that on your own, that kind of idea, right? And that also goes back to poor men, rich men don't care about poor men, because you're doing it on your own, so you don't owe anything to anyone. And that's that narcissist mindset that spreads. Damn, that's fire.
Narcissist mindset spread like malaria. Sit back and watch the show. America. Britain split through fickle shit. A government of hypocrites. These counterfeit politicians sit in parliament, not adequate. Come on.
Ooh, these counterfeit politicians, which is basically saying these fake individuals, right? And then, like, how many times do you have a discussion with someone? Like, I don't even recall the last time I was like, yeah, this politician stood by everything that they said. And not that you can possibly stand by everything that you said, but a lot of people in that level, at that level, don't really necessarily cater to anything that they've said, really. And that's the part of the counterfeit, right? But usually we say counterfeit, we're talking about money. In this case, we're talking about people. And so that's such a clever use of the verbiage, saying counterfeit money, but also talking about counterfeit politicians, because they're the ones who are not adequate. They're the ones who are in power, but they're not doing anything for us. So why are they there, right? Why did we even vote for them? And then ultimately, this is the thing that leads a lot of people to question voting. But personally, I think you should always vote. Even if you feel like your vote doesn't matter, it still matters. The fact that you get a say. Obviously, there are some times where there are countries or places or just regimes that the voting doesn't actually matter. But if you get the chance, go and do it.
Needlessly bleeding, resources all dry. Turn a blind eye if it means a pay rise. Oh, what a shame it would be, I would die if number 10 Downing Street burned in a fire.
Ooh. Oh, okay. So a couple of things there. If we go back, needlessly bleeding, resources all dry. This goes back to when we we're talking about in Sick Boy, where like we are quite literally bleeding the earth of all of its resources. So like water we have more than enough of, but a lot of it is salt water, which means it's hard to use that for a lot of different possibilities unless we can remove the salt or like boil it, whatever. But if we're thinking about land, right, like land space, we're running out of that. Our soils, we've overfarmed, we've overfished, we've done so many things, and we've literally bled the earth dry. And that's what we're seeing here. But you turn a blind eye to it because you get a pay raise, you get more money. And that's to kind of show us that there's a guy that tosses this ton of money up in front of one of the people who's voting. I don't know these individuals, but I see FIFA, and FIFA didn't have a great representation currently because they've done a lot of shady stuff, which is an exemplary moment of turning a blind eye for a pay raise, right? More money? Well, then I guess I don't see it as long as you keep giving me money. And then one of the things that gets mentioned here is, let me go back.
Oh, what a shame it would be.
Is 10 Downing Street.
If number 10 Downing Street burned in a fire.
Which is ultimately like where the Prime Minister lives in England. And I saw the next line, but like, damn, that's such a crazy thing to say in a song. I'd be worried about who sees that song, but that's Ren, man. That's Ren. Even if there's something that could be concerning, like as long as you're being completely transparent and honest, Ren is just going for it. You know what I mean? That he will always go for it. And so he'll put something like this in his song, which is insane. Like that's so smart, but also just so, it shows the courage that Ren has.
Only joking, only messing, don't be stressing. I'm a peaceful adolescent, there's no need to be unpleasant. Write my thesis in a rhyme scheme to analyze the brain while my fingers on the trigger of a money game.
Oh, but this time it's the gun. The money game is the gun. Actually, it wasn't just last time we were doing like finger guns, now it's an actual gun. But he ultimately says here, one thing that was really cool, he says is he's just joking, he's just kidding, he's peaceful, why are you worried, right? But it's quite literally like that's the feeling a lot of people who are kind of in our era, who are starting to really become aware of how much bullshit is happening in terms of like money, in terms of like the wealth discrepancy, like all that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, we want to be peaceful about it, but damn, like being peaceful about it sometimes is hard because no one listens if you're peaceful. And so it's almost like this, haha, I'm kind of joking, kind of not, you know what I mean? That we're getting from Ren here. One of the this is a really cool line he says here, I'll let it play out again.
This in a rhyme scheme to analyze the brain while my fingers on the trigger of a money game.
Right, my thesis in a rhyme scheme to analyze the brain. And you can kind of see this in a couple different ways. One is write a thesis in a rhyme scheme, which is his rap, right? So that's solid. But to analyze the brain, it could be the brain of his own brain, where he's trying to analyze the things that are going on in his mind, and that's why he's putting it down on paper, right? A lot of people do this. This is how you reflect. It's through songwriting. But it's also to analyze the brain of society and to see how society is feeling, because he's looking to see exactly how people react to this, because if there's enough support, well, then change is hopefully on the precipice if we can pull it off. But it's not just so in that way, it's not just to analyze his own brain, it's also to analyze the brain of kind of society, which is a cool way to put that. And then while my finger's on the trigger of a money game, and now we're getting a shot of the mask with the eyes because we're seeing it, right? And our finger was on the money game a trigger, which is an actual gun, because it's quite literally lethal, like a gun would be. And that's what we're seeing. Damn.
Oh, rain, 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 rain.
I love this. Oh, and there's Trump. Those who rise to distorted lies, because a lot of stuff he said on his campaign didn't make sense. He actually wheeled back on a lot of it, right? Like he rolled back on a lot of these different things. And like that's to show that he, like a lot of the things that he believed in, he didn't actually believe in them because he quote unquote believed in them. He sold them to us and we bought it. Right, that's what we're being told here, is that if you believed it, you bought it. You bought it quite literally, and rose him up to power. And ultimately, what did he do? Nothing useful, right? Well, not nothing useful. I won't say nothing useful, but the ideas, the lies, the propaganda, the terror that he spread, the racism that started to see a rise after that, like just so many negatives that followed. Right, and that's all because he rose through distorted lies. Damn. Oh, and he relates it to Hitler. God damn, man. Red is putting targets on everyone's back right now. Blame. It's easier to blame. We point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game. Ooh, I like that he's showing the politician in a cartoon too. Because if you show real politicians, it's like, yeah, this stuff happens. We can see that, right? But when you actually take a look at it, it's a little bit ridiculous when we're ultimately like it's almost cartoony how crazy things have gotten, and that's what that's being shown there is like things are so crazy that it's almost like you want to believe it's a cartoon, but it's gone beyond that. It's gone beyond just being a cartoon. It's gone and become real life, and that's what we're seeing here. Damn. One thing I just thought about too is like one of the choices here is that it's all on a TV screen, right? It's like we're the viewer, right? We're watching this all unfold and we're slowly learning about the money game through these songs, but also like this is what you see daily on like news articles, on news stations and all that. We see a lot of the terrible things going on, but again, we don't think about it as partly being on us or who is truly responsible. We just say, oh man, it's terrible, right? This is quite literally turning the mirror on ourselves through the screen, through what we're seeing. And that's why now, every now and then we see the image of the person in the mask, because it's us. It's us. We're the ones realizing the money game through the video. Damn, that's pretty cool. So I was thinking of it as he's showing it on screen, but maybe it's like, you know, when the screen goes black and you're looking at it and then all of a sudden you see yourself? Well, this time when we see ourselves, it's us in the mask with the eyes now because we're starting to realize. That's pretty cool. That's really cool.
Money is a game and the ladder we climb turns a saint into a sinner with his finger in crime. I'll break it down for you motherfuckers line by line. This is business economics in a nursery rhyme.
I'm excited for this. I had heard someone mention that she sells seashells by the seashore. I can't even do the damn thing. But people mentioned that this is where it came from. So now I'm excited to see where it came from. Because he said the nursery rhyme, and I'm assuming that's what the nursery rhyme is. But what's really cool about if we go back one is money is the game and the ladder we climb. And he actually, one of the choices was it's who wants to be a millionaire, right? Think about the choice of that. It's who wants to be a millionaire. Well, everyone wants to be a millionaire. But if you really think about it, it's a game show about becoming a millionaire, which is a money game. And if you win, if you climb that ladder of questions, you successfully get to the top, right? And that's what this whole thing's about. That's what this whole thing's about. What a great choice for visual on that. And to show it that it's a ladder that we climb, but then also turns a saint into a sinner with a finger in crime, because you don't usually get to that position of wealth and power without cutting off a few fingers, you know what I'm saying? And that's what he's saying is with a finger in crime. Like, oh man, Renan's just so good at painting a picture in so many different ways, like lyrically, musically, visually, all of it. And just such great choices. And obviously he's not the only one that contributed to this. Everyone that contributed to this did a great job. But damn.
I'll break it down for you motherfuckers line by line. This is business economics in a nursery rhyme. She sells seashells on a seashore, but the value of these shells will fall due to the laws of supply and demand. No one wants to buy shells because there's loads on the sand. Step one.
Oh man. Oh, I'm excited. That's so true too. Like, if there's tons of something, why would you want it, right? You could just go pick up a seashell. So what I'm assuming is going to be the plan here is like, how do you make it worth something? Because without any changes, without doing something about it, then everyone could just go and pick up a seashell from the sand. And if you think about it, this is like it's a metaphor for life, right? Like a lot of things that we put high value on, there's tons of it all around if we really look. Really cool.
Must create a sense of scarcity. Shells will sell much better if the people think they're rare, you see. Bear with me. Take as many shells as you can find and hide them on an island. Stockpile them high until they're rarer than a diamond.
Stockpile them high until they're rarer than a diamond. Damn. Yeah. Like this happens all the time. One of the biggest things is to advertise as though something is running out. Like when you think about when you go to a store and you see that, oh, it's on sale or, oh, last chance, immediately you're like, oh, well, maybe I need it. Right? I've been to Costco so many times, and like there'll be that thing that's like, oh, you know, $1.99 off or something. I'm like, oh, maybe I need it now, but I don't actually need it. It's just that I saw it's on a sale price, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, maybe I should buy it. And scarcity, right? It's the whole idea of like supply and demand. Like he was saying, the lower the supply, even if it's a perceived supply, the more that something will be demanded, and then the more that you can also raise the price for those who are willing to buy it. And that's kind of what he's getting into here. Damn.
Gotta make the people think that they want them, really want them, really fucking want them. Hit them like Bronson. Influencers, product placement, featured primetime entertainment. If you haven't got a show, then you're just a fucking waste.
Oh man, and now we're seeing the shell is actually money, because we open the box, it's like, oh, you won the money, right? And so that's what the shells are. And so maybe I was thinking products, but even money itself is the product, right? Because when you think about it, money at the end of the day is just an idea. It's not like it's really valuable. I talked about this last time, but money is just like usually like paper or some sort of material that we've printed stuff on, and so it looks like money. But what value does that actually have? Say there was an apocalypse tomorrow and the economy fell. Who the hell is going to care how much money you have? No one. Absolutely no one. You can't pay for something if money doesn't have a value, and value is only the assigned value that we've given it that exists in the society that we live in now. And that's what the shells are, right? And we're still fighting for it like it's something of great wealth, even though there's tons of shells, and the shells in this case are fake. They're fabricated. We make them, right? We make them and then we sell that dream. But the way that we sell it, we make it look like there's not enough for everyone. We use people like influencers, product placement, featured primetime entertainment, all of that to sell it. How many times have you seen someone go on like a movie, or sorry, not a movie station, but like a TV channel for an interview, and they're talking about their new movie coming out? Well, we're selling something. We're selling the movie, right? But that's also selling a product. It's the movie. And there's so many other variations of that we could apply here. And all of it is down to like the products that we're paying for don't necessarily have the same value that we give them credit for. But we have a perceived value. And if we perceive that, well, then that's the truth to us, because really our perception is our truth, is our experience and our understanding. And so if we think it's worth that much, then internally it is worth that much. And that's what he's trying to point out here. Damn. And then the one thing when he said, make the people want them, really fucking want them, right? It's like, think about how much something like, especially like think about when an iPhone came out, how many people really wanted to get one. And so the prices now of iPhones are like insanely expensive. And really it does everything another cell phone would do, just the same, in the same way. But it's that product placement, it's that advertisement, it's the marketing choices that lead us to believe it's super, super awesome and much more important than all the other phones. And that's why it's so successful. This is such a cool way to talk about economy. I'm so excited.
Man free, it's monopoly. Invest inside some property. Start a corporation, make a logo, do it properly. Shells must sell, that will be your new philosophy. Swallow all your morals, they're a poor man's quality.
Oh my God, swallow. I'm gonna just put it on the screen.
Shells must sell, that will be your new.
Swallow all your morals, they're a poor man's quality. What a bar. He's basically saying, like, if you're moral, well, guess what? You're not making it up the ladder. You're not climbing that money ladder. You're not winning the money game, because morals only gets you into a bad spot. Thinking about other people, thinking about what's right and wrong, well, that's not going to make you money. So you better put that away if you want to make money. If you want to be at the top of the game, if you want to be a rich man, you know what I'm saying? And that's what he's basically saying here. So these shells must sell. That's your new philosophy. Your new philosophy, the new thing in your heart, what you believe to be true. They've got to sell. And that's what he's saying. And wow, that line, swallow all your morals are a poor man's quality, is just grade A. I'm so impressed by that.
Philosophy, swallow all your morals, they're a poor man's quality. 4. Expand, 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 clear forest, make land, fresh blood on hands. 5. Why just shells?
That gets me the most. There's so much damage that we've done as a species, and it just continues. It gets worse and worse. When we think about like the land clearing for like, even if it's something good, like a new hospital or new shelters or something like that, we're still clearing land, right? In essence, we could have lived on this land without having built all the things that we have with the skyscrapers, the condos, all that. But it's money and the pursuit of it and this idea that wealth is so important that has led us to keep doing more and more damage to the planet that we can't undo necessarily. A lot of it we won't be able to undo. The thousands and upon millions of trees that have been cut down for deforestation for the sake of putting up a new apartment complex, well, they don't grow overnight. Those were there for a very long time. I remember hearing about an ancient, like a tree that had been around for thousands of years, somewhere in that ballpark in BC, British Columbia. And I was like shocked, because when you think about it, that tree has been around for so long. It's seen so much, and obviously not seen the way that we think of seen, but it's been there through so many different things. And what was the reason it got cut down? What was the reason it didn't make it? Well, it was humans. And that's rough. That's rough to think about. It's rough to consider for so many different facets, because it happens all the time in so many different ways. And that's really, really bad. One thing that's really cool about what he's doing in this video is you can hear him starting to speed up the way he's talking. It almost creates a sense of urgency in the song itself, which is the sense of urgency that you get as you start to climb the ladder of the game, right? And we're going through the steps. So we're on step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's all different rungs of the ladder that we're climbing. And now we're starting to go faster and faster and try to get there more and more quickly, because it's such a desire for us. It's a passion to get this money. Damn. Okay. Sorry, I got real into this, but I like the damage that gets done to the environment sucks, and we really need to slow our roll on that.
And expand, clear forest, make land, fresh blood on hands, fight. Why just shells? Why limit yourself? She sells seashells, sell oil as well. 6.
Oh, sell oil as well. Just sell everything. Why are you limiting yourself? Keep selling everything. He was talking about making a logo earlier. Well, as soon as you made that logo, start in one area, but then start catering to other areas where we can make more money, right? Start doing other businesses. Start creating a new venture. Do whatever you can to sell things and ideas and products and like land to people as much as you can, because the more money you get, the better it is. And you can hear him getting louder as he's talking about this too. And that goes back to the urgency, but also almost like someone's trying to yell at you, like, how stupid does this sound? You know what I mean? Because like you're getting caught up in this mess and you don't even realize it, but you still pursue it. And so it's like he's trying to shake you out of it. It's like he's trying to make you more aware of the money game, which is what this whole thing is about, which is so cool.
Sell stock, sell diamonds, sell rock, sell water to a fish, sell the time to a clock.
Sell water to a fish, sell time to a clock. Come on, that's so good. Oh my god. So we start off with things that you almost like, some of this sounds so stupid. You say sell stocks, sell guns, sell rocks. And when you think about it, selling rocks is like we make a joke out of that, but we're literally doing that, right? We sell rocks. We say, oh, like this rock, we could give it an identity. We could say, hey, this one, hey, it'll heal you of anything. Hey, this one, it'll make you lots of money. You should buy it. And then people will buy it, right? It's all about selling what you can in whatever way you can. And marketing is the key to that. But then he sells water to a fish. If you think about a fish in water, it's literally surrounded by water. It's got it all around you. And you're still managing to sell water to it because it's about how you sell it. It's not about what you're selling. It's about how you sell it, right? Even though the fish is surrounded by water, doesn't matter. It still wants the water if that's what all the other fish are buying, right? And that's what he's basically saying here. And then sell time to a clock, something that doesn't like a clock counts time, right? We're selling time to a clock so they can count more. But we're also talking about like the progression of time. But then also saying a clock is an inanimate object. It doesn't care, right? It doesn't. We use it to tell time, but it's not real. It's not like time is something humans also use, but it's not necessarily relative. It's not really necessarily a stable measure. But what we're saying here is we're going to sell time, an idea, to something that's inanimate, and that's still going to be something that people will buy. That's nuts. So like, how does he think of these things, man? Because like that's and this is the nursery rhyme aspect too. Like now we're starting to hear it almost like a nursery rhyme that you could tell children. They wouldn't necessarily understand it until they were older, but wow, damn.
7. Press on the gas, take your foot off the brakes, then run to be the president of the United States. 8.
Man, I'm actually enjoying how much he's going on Trump a little bit here. But yeah, like basically he's saying, don't stop. There's no stops on this train anymore. As soon as you get on, you're in it for life. You're going as hard as you can, full throttle. Once you reach this point, there's no stopping anymore. And at this point, you might as well go for the top seat in America. Forget anything else that you were doing. You were making money. You made the money. Now you're super rich, super wealthy, super powerful. Hey, why don't you run for president? And then people might buy that too. And they did. Right? Like that's how he ended up as president. People bought the idea of him as president. And all of that came down to, how did he get there? Well, it was by climbing the money game. You think anyone would have cared about Trump if he didn't make that kind of money? Probably not. And so that also bought him power, which is a crazy, crazy circle of life.
Big smile, make big wave. That's great. Now the truth is overrated. Tell lies out the gate. 9.
Oh, forget all the things you were talking about before. Now it's just tell lies. Sell your soul for this money. you might as well do a big wave. You're not allowed to be yourself anymore. You have to be exactly what you need to be to make that money. That's all you can be now. So you better lie, you better cheat, you better do whatever you need to get to the top. And that's what we're saying here. Damn, that's fire. Okay, I have to go back a little bit more because I think I missed the start of that.
Big smile, make big wave, that's great. Now the truth is overrated, tell lies out the gate. Nine, polarize the people, controversy is the game. It don't matter if they hate you, if they all say your name.
Doesn't matter if they hate you, if they all say your name. Man, like, that's it, isn't it? And then that makes you think of someone like Hitler. Like, many people hated him, but everyone knows his name, and maybe that's, to him, was success, right? And that's ultimately what it comes down to, is success to many people is just being well known, is being powerful, is being like, if you're known as the most powerful person, the internal kind of confidence and almost like joy that comes from that is probably pretty strong. And so it doesn't matter what it takes to get there, as long as you get there. That's what's important. So you can't take your foot off the brakes. You got to lie at every turn. You got to basically sell everything, including your soul, to get to where you need to be. And that's what we're saying now. And all the images that are coming up are just showing a bunch of individuals who have succumbed to that idea, which is super cool.
The world is yours. Step out on the stage to a round of applause.
This almost has like a Hamilton feel to it. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen Hamilton, but the way that we rose as we were climbing, and now we finally plateaued, because he was saying that the world is ours. And now it's just a picture of a boat sailing off into the distance, enjoying life, kind of one of the ideal dreams of the world. That's now we've finally slowed down a bit. Our pace is kind of mellowed out in terms of the way he was singing, in terms of the music. Now we just have the keys. Everything else kind of falls away. And that's what it is. Now you're living that serene life. Now that dream you were promised, you finally got it. So take some time to relax, right? And we can already see what he's about to say, but damn.
The world is yours. Step out on the stage to a round of applause. You're a liar, cheat, a devil, a whore, and you sell seashells on the seashore.
You sell seashells on the seashore, because that's where we started, right? Except now it's not just the shore, it's everywhere. And in order to get to that point where you have that kind of ability, you had to sell everything, including your soul, including your integrity, including the truth. You've sold it all away to get to where you're at now. And it probably feels real nice because you're on your boat relaxing, but look at what you did to the rest of the world. You engaged in the money game. You became a big part of it. You won, quote unquote, but look at how many people lost as a result. But again, like we talked about before, the rich man doesn't care about the poor man. So what do you care? That's damn.
Rain, 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 rain. A storm, it comes our way. And those who rise to distorted lives.
All world leaders. Oh, the world leaders into like the shot of marching armies. Like, damn, that's pretty interesting.
And those who rise to distorted lies, poison in the veins, but we die upon the blame. It's easier to blame.
Oh, and then he goes back to the idea that we had last time, where it's like we blame certain people for doing what they've done, but at the end of the day, like they can't get there without others' support. And who is that support? Well, it's us. Right? It's people who aren't that rich. It's people who aren't that powerful, but power comes from the accumulation of many. And without the many, the few will not be powerful. And that's what he's trying to point out here, is that like we point the blame, right? And in this case, good reason to point the blame at this individual. But for those who collaborated or went along with the plans, even if they questioned the integrity of them, well, then you're still a part of that game. And you still played the game, but you weren't the piece at the top. You were just one of the pieces down below. But you didn't realize that the person at the top doesn't actually care for you. They just care for themselves.
Point the mirror at ourselves. We're all part of this whole money game.
You see the rope for a second there? The one that he pulled in at the start of Money Game 1? We're basically going back and saying this is the bait. It's the money game. We're baiting people in and drawing the rope in for you to follow and get trapped in the money game. And we're seeing a bunch of images of people quote unquote that have money, and that's what drew them in, was the game.
This old money game.
to end it off with a picture of him about to light himself up. And I just want to check it. Okay. I was kind of hoping it would end with a picture or like that image of the person in the hood, and that would have been a really cool ending. But even this is great because it ends with Ren setting himself on fire, or like the idea of it that we saw in the Money Game 1. And the whole thing behind that is if you set the game on fire, then we don't have to deal with the turmoil of the game. And so now we've had a black screen to represent that the game is finally over, but it can only end if someone in the game ends the game. And Ren is like an actual creative genius, mastermind, savant. Goddamn, I don't have enough words to describe how good he is. This is so impactful. It's the lyrics are fantastic. The meaning is so strong, and you can feel his compassion for the human condition and the human experience, because in every song, in every way, he's trying to better us, even if it's taking a mirror and showing us the worst parts of ourselves or of our society. It's not done to antagonize you. It's done with the hopes that it will better you. And that's the most important part. I love that. And Ren just, every time, does such a good job at that. Well, I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope your week is better than your day, your month is better than your week, and your year is better than your month. And until next time, I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one.